Welcome back to Movie Moshow. Today we are going to review the action film, SWAT. If you like our content, don't forget to like and subscribe. We post multiple times daily. Spoilers ahead. When the film begins, 4 masked bank robbers have just robbed a bank in Lincoln Heights, and LAPD officers are engaged in a bloody shootout with them. While the other 2 thieves are fighting the police with AK-47 automatic rifles and full body armor, 2 of the criminals are inside the bank holding hostages. With only pistols at their disposal, the police are completely outgunned. The officers on the scene request the Special Weapons and Tactics (SW8E) unit after all other weapons have failed. Some members of the SWAT team come by helicopter, while others use a SWAT truck. Hotshot SWAT agents Jim Street, Colin Farrell, and Brian Gamble, Jeremy Renner, descend via rappel from the bank's helicopter onto its roof with the assistance of 2 other men before making their way down a tunnel to a storage near to the main lobby. A third unit moves in from the ground as 2 SWAT snipers are stationed on the roof of a building across the street. One of the 2 gunmen outside tries to escape in a getaway car but is quickly killed by a sniper with a single round to the head as Street and Gamble enter the bank. The other shooter keeps firing at the cops, but is eventually killed by the ground unit. The ground unit sends a secure phone as the 2 remaining thieves inside begin to panic, and a SWAT negotiator tries to negotiate the release of hostages. SWAT Lieutenant Greg Velasquez, Reg B. Cathy, orders his unit inside the bank to hold and remain there until the negotiator interacts with the bandits. Street is made to follow Gamble as he disobeys the command and enters the storehouse nonetheless. Gamble then eludes his lieutenant's repeated summons, sneaks into the back of the main lobby, and positions himself to kill the robbers. An increasingly tense hostage-taker collars a woman, places a gun to her head, and prepares to shoot her. With only a few seconds to decide, Gamble shoots the thief through the woman's shoulder, injuring her but killing him in the process. Street then kills the final shooter, ending the situation. The woman is attended to by Street, who also calls for an ambulance. Street hastily responds that he is not a doctor when Gamble asks him if she will be okay, hinting that he is upset with Gamble. Since the hostage they injured is now suing the LAPD for negligence, Captain Thomas Fuller, Larry Poindexter, is upset with Street and Gamble for their careless acts in the bank back at their precinct. Lieutenant Velasquez steps in and requests that they stay in the division while they are off the team so they can eventually have a chance to win their positions back when Fuller orders them to leave the SWAT division. They are demoted to cage duty, a demeaning job that involves maintaining and distributing weapons and accessories to other cops, after Fuller accepts their resignation. Gamble is offended and reprimands Fuller, making the situation worse for himself. Then, furious, he leaves. When Street hesitates, Fuller speaks with him in secret and offers him the option to rejoin the squad straight away in exchange for disclosing Gamble's irresponsible behavior. When Street admits he agrees with Fuller that Gamble was reckless out there and refuses to follow his teammate in departing, the 2 engage into a fight as Gamble is packing his bags after deciding to quit. Gamble knocks his former partner's head into a mirror before assuming Street exposed him. Street is unnecessarily working out on the beach one morning before work 6 months later. He is still waiting for a chance to return to the field while working menial jobs for other police officers inside the gun cage. Veteran Sergeant Daniel Hondo Harrelson, Samuel L. Jackson, visits the police station one day and requests that Street restore his modified M4 rifle. Street is impressed by the special work and notifies it. Hondo and Velasquez meet. The LAPD chief wants to overhaul the organization in the aftermath of several harsh stories denouncing it. Hondo is to create a brand new SWAT team for Velasquez to lead. Hondo is presented with 2 of Velasquez's own officers, T.J. Michael Boxer, Brian Van Holt, and McCabe, Josh Charles. Hondo accepts them and chooses 3 further applicants from the personnel records. The only issue is that Captain Fuller will ultimately decide who joins this new team. After a day of intense labor on Hondo's weapon, Street returns home to see his girlfriend attempting to leave their flat before he gets back. She asserts that since Street was removed from the SWAT squad, things between them are no longer good and that he has changed significantly. One final time, she tries to kiss him, but he rejects her and lets her go without protest. Street has created a new tool while he's been in the cage that he intends to patent to police enforcement in other countries, a massive hook and chain he calls the key to the city that can be used to break down barriers or barricades and put an end to hostilities. Street is discussing his creation with his gun cage colleague Gus, James Dumont, when Hondo enters and acknowledges Street's ingenuity. He entered to pick up his weapon and was amazed by Street's upgrades, pointing out several. Later, Hondo brings a few of the officers out to the firing range for some target practice. Although the flamboyant TJ defeats Hondo in the shooting contest, Hondo wagers $200 that Street, who is testing weapons on his own, can defeat McCabe. TJ accepts the challenge since he does not perceive a gun bunny as a threat. In their contest, Street prevails, surprising everyone but Hondo. Alex Montel, a French mobster, arrives at the Los Angeles International Airport and leaves for the city in the meantime. Oliver Martinez. Supposedly as a birthday surprise, he plans to go to his uncle's favorite restaurant, but in truth, he is doing it since he is aware that his uncle has been stealing money from the family for some time. As a result, Alex cuts his uncle's throat and exits the restaurant. However, motorcycle police arrive and stop him for having a broken taillight. The police detain Alex for questioning and identity verification since the automobile he is driving belongs to his uncle, who is wanted for an arrest. He is resistant to every attempt to free him through bribery. To go on a recruitment run for the SWAT unit, Hondo enlists Street as his driver for the day. While driving, Hondo explains that he was a Marine and a combat trainer prior, whereas Street was a Navy SEAL, though he won't say what his area of expertise was. Deacon Deke K, a cop, is the subject of their initial investigation after being discovered in the midst of a foot chase with a suspect, LL Cool J. Deke was upset because he wanted to go it alone, but Hondo and Street intercede and stop the chase. However, he quickly recoils when Hondo admits that he works for SWAT and invites Deke to enroll in SWAT school. They then go to see another applicant who, in addition to being a vegetarian and being overly courteous and meticulous, gives Hondo a negative first impression. Then they move on to Chris Sanchez, a Metro police officer who reportedly has repeatedly applied for and been rejected for SWAT. Street cites Sanchez's numerous misconduct complaints that were submitted to internal affairs by suspects. They find Officer Sanchez at the neighborhood ER. They discover Sanchez's companion watching over a Latino thug who is wheelchair-bound and covered in facial bruises. When Hondo asks Sanchez if he did this alone, his companion responds in the affirmative. Then when Hondo meets with Sanchez, he learns that Chris is actually short for Cristina, Michelle Rodriguez. Hondo understands that Fuller has likely excluded Sanchez from the SWAT roster due to the fact that she is a woman and has merely used the misconduct charges as justification for doing so. The majority of the charges against Sanchez, according to Sanchez, have been brought because violent male offenders who were resisting them couldn't take being handled by a woman. She immediately strikes Hondo's fancy, and he decides to offer her a job on his team. When Street gets back to the headquarters, he asks Hondo whether he's going to keep playing with him or actually tell him why he sent him on this recruitment mission. Street is asked by Hondo if he wants to take up the team's final position. Street hesitates because he understands that Fuller is very unlikely to approve of him in light of the Gamble event. Street adds that he did not give in to Gamble. Street has Street on his squad, Hondo says. Fuller rejects both Sanchez and Street when Hondo meets with him, but Hondo won't give in. Fuller strikes a deal. He will accept the gang as they are for the time being, but if they fail the preliminary tests required for SWAT, Sanchez will return to her subway routine and Street and Hondo will both be fired. Hondo concurs, believing his new team is capable of meeting the challenge. Training starts immediately after that. As the new squad members get to know one another, tension develops between them as it is discovered that Street's ex-girlfriend, who had earlier deserted him, was actually Boxer's sister. Hondo puts the crew through a number of tests, including long-range shooting, long-range infiltration, armor, and weapons. Despite some initial issues, they quickly exhibit excellent performance. The team also demonstrates outstanding shooting prowess during a sniper training using playing cards as targets. Thank you for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe.